of the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is charged with conducting hearings to determine whether an alleged violation of the city code has occurred. Decisions made by the quasi-judicial board will be based on the evidence of the facts presented tonight. Our meetings are conducted in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order, and each case will begin with the city presenting its evidence of the alleged violation. The respondent will then present his or her case. Both parties will have an opportunity to cross-examine all witnesses. Board members may question any witness. Comments by both parties must be relevant to the case. Persons wishing to speak will be given the opportunity to do so by the chairman and must address the board from the podium after giving their name and address. Upon request, copies of materials submitted by the staff are available for review. Board members are reminded to obtain permission to speak from the chair, and questions of the city should be directed to the attorney for the city. At this time, I will ask all persons who expect to give testimony tonight to stand and be sworn in by the deputy clerk.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or evidence you're about to give or present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Cases will be taken out of order to accommodate respondents and witnesses present at tonight's meeting.
We all have to. You know, they usually just do it, but I don't know if they made an alternate. I said it did when I read it. It was going to be so darn.
Okay, first off, we have approval of the minutes of the May 10th, 2017 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes and any changes, or if so, then motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
A motion and a second has been, and the minutes have been approved. First hearing.
Case number 170813, City versus Robert M. and Deborah A. Schaller for property located at 339 Glen Oaks Avenue. The case is before the board based on an alleged violation of Section 828A1 permits application required. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Sal Scrozo. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and the notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Sal Scrozo, Code Compliance. This case was initiated by a citizen complaint on April 12, 2017 of a large structure that was installed in the backyard of the subject address. My inspection on that day revealed an accessory structure had been installed on the west side of the property without obtaining the required permit. I spoke with the homeowner, Mr. Shaler, and advised him to apply for an after-the-fact permit and gave him to April 26th to do so. My inspection on May 10th revealed no change, and therefore I issued a notice of violation the same day and gave the respondent until May 22nd to bring the property into compliance with city code. I posted the notice at the home and mailed copies, both certified and regular mail, to the property owner's address, and I also requested the notice be posted at City Hall for the required length of time. My inspection on June 1st also revealed no change. At this time, I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the violation taken by me on June 1st, 2017. Exhibits 1 and 2 both depict the accessory structure located on the east side of the property.
Board will accept.
As of this date, there has been no change, and therefore the property remains out of compliance. Mr. Schaller is here, and I know he's had discussions with Community Development, Amir Anisi, the building inspector. Unfortunately, Mr. Anisi is unable to be at this meeting tonight, so Mr. Mike Kokowski is one of the planners, and he had some discussions with Mr. Schaller, and I'd like him to come up and just kind of give you an update on where we stand as far as the permit is concerned.
Okay. Are there any questions for the code officer? Okay.
Good evening. I'm Michael Kokowski, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department. I had some interaction with the owner, property owner. I was given the after-the-fact permit to review by Amir Anisi, the building official, on May 15th. May 16th, I provided written comments and gave it back to Amir. Amir was going to contact the property owner at that time. And then on May 25th, I did a site visit to the property. Unfortunately, I took a camera, but it didn't work, so I just measured the carport, the extension in front of the building, and I measured it at 2 feet in front of the building, which requires a variance because it's on a corner yard. Since as of today, the city has not received a variance application, and the city cannot issue a building permit until a variance application is approved by a Board of Adjustment. Stand for any questions.
I have a question. Is it's an open cover, is it cemented in place?
I spoke to the owner, and he said that he indicated that there were, I can't remember how many, there were probably about a dozen or so concrete pilings on both sides that he stated went down about 4 feet. So he said that he indicated to me that it would be impossible to move that without significantly possibly damaging the structure. I had indicated to the applicant that about the permit and also about the variance request, and he had indicated to me that he was not willing to pay the additional fees to apply for the variance at that time. So that was a phone conversation I had with the applicant
Is
or the owner.
in the photograph, I wasn't looking at how far it went back, I was looking how far it was front. And is it up against a fence, or is there a reason it couldn't be back further?
No, it's probably about 3 or 4 feet from the home, and essentially it's extending about 2 feet in front of the garage.
Okay.
So
Any other-
there's plenty of setback. There's not an issue of setback. It's the issue of it's being in front of the building.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Are there any other persons present that are wishing to speak?
So, I'm the homeowner that they were speaking of, and there's actually 14, oh, Bob Shaler, 339 Glen Oaks. So there's actually 14 hurricane-proof anchors. There's one at each pole, so there's 7 going back on each side, and they're about 4 feet long. They look like a giant screw and got little round plates to hold it down. The entire structure is 18 by 30. Okay, that's the roof, but the poles aren't quite 18 by 30. They're maybe like 17 by 29, so there's a foot that comes in for the overhang. So back in February or March, I moved into this house. Well, I closed on this house in November, and I've re-landscaped the entire yard, put a lot of money in painting the outside of the house. And so I wanted to put something for my boat, because there's a lot of mature trees. So I called code enforcement and I said, listen, I want to put in a carport. Can you tell me what I need to think about or not do? And they said, well, we don't handle that. That would be building. I said, great. So they transferred me to building. So I started explaining the same thing. I want to put a carport in. Can you tell me, do I have to keep it away from the house so far? Can it be a certain height, whatever it might be? And they said, well, we don't handle that. That's handled through code enforcement. And I said, well, I was just talking to them. And they said, well, let us transfer you back. So I went back, spoke to someone different, explained it again. I said, they said it's you. So code again says, no, that's building. I said, send me back to building. So I go back to building, and I said, listen, they say it's you. Can you tell me, do I have to be attached to the house? Does it have to be, I mean, because I'm putting it in the backyard, not the side yard. And they said, we don't handle that. You know, you're going to have to talk with someone else. Anyway, long story short, I travel in my job. So I'm not there all the time to chase down code and building to try to figure out what I can and cannot do. So I asked some other people in the neighborhood, and they're like, you know, if you're putting it in your backyard, you should be fine. So when they showed up to put it in one day, you know, I went back there and said, look, I don't want to make this look bad for my neighbors. Let's put it back as far as we can so that it doesn't, you know, make my backyard look bad. So I could have put it anywhere. I could have gone back, and it's 21 inches from the side of my house, not 24. I measured it, okay? So I'm in the backyard. I'm not even in the side yard, okay? So I have one pole that's probably 4 inches by 4 inches that's sticking out the side, okay? So I took some pictures. Here's the front view, just kind of standing in front of the house. Here's another one that's a little closer up. Here's the side view. Here's a neighbor 2 houses away in their carport on the side of their house. I'm in the back. There's another neighbor 5 homes away on Brentwood that has a carport on the side of their house, not behind it. So I'm essentially behind the house, but I'm sticking out with that one pole, which if somebody would have told me, make sure you're behind that corner, I would have just said to the guys putting it in, move me back 21 more inches.
It appears to me then that your issue is really you're on a corner lot.
I am on a corner lot, yeah. So what's the issue with that?
Well, the setbacks on the front and the setback on the side.
Okay,
So-
so that would have been great to know.
So that's kind of that's why you're here tonight.
I didn't know that.
So,
So, yeah.
yeah. So if you.
Because what if I would have put that carport on the side of the house? Would that have been a
I mean,
problem?
if you'd been just a little bit further back
So then I could
behind.
have just pushed it back. That would have looked way worse, to have it on the side of the house. That's
I'm
why I
not-
put it in the
I'm
back.
not saying that, I'm not saying yes to that, except that if you had moved it back, you wouldn't be sticking out into the restricted area, the setback area.
Is the
But then there's
side
also
yard-
there's also a setback from the side property line.
Yeah, so I'm plenty back from the side, I'm plenty back from the back, you know, because the higher you go, the further back you have to be, and I'm way good on all of those. I mean, so if you want me to shield from view that pole, I can put, you know, a 6-foot bush or tree up in front of that, if that will work, but there's no way I can pull up 14 hurricane anchors and move back 21 inches. You know, so when Sal came by and explained everything, he says, look, go down and get your permit. So when I came down and I brought all the papers, they said, Amir's gonna come out. I said, great. So Amir came out with somebody else from building. They looked around, they thought it was fine. They're like, Amir says, I'll give you your permit. I said, great. So I came back with what he said to bring. And then he wasn't in the second time, so I talked to a woman up there with short, dark hair, and she says, well, now you're gonna have to pay double for the permit, and you're gonna have to pay for the variance. And I go, wait a minute, Amir said I didn't have to do the variance, he was gonna just give me the permit. So I go down to his office, and he tells me again, he goes, you're gonna be fine, I'll give you the permit. And the variance wasn't mentioned, so twice he's told me, I'll give you the permit. So then Michael comes out and measures, I guess when Amir let him know about it, and said, no, wait a minute, you do have to get the variance, you do have to, get the permit. And then he mentioned something about the driveway that I put in, which is about 5-6 inches thick of recycled asphalt. He said, you have to trim that, which I'm gonna have my yard guys trim that as they go, as the grass grows closer, and keep it looking nice, just like the rest of the house.
Okay. Unfortunately, we can't give you the permit, and we can't resolve your issue here in this venue.
Okay,
There is, the other venue for you is to go to the variance review board. And I kind of understand your situation. There's some miscommunications in there along the way, and therefore, and unfortunately, Mr. Anisi's not here tonight to say what his ruling is. You say he said he'd give you the permit. The issue is still that you're into the setback areas, is what I understand. Is that correct?
That would be my, the only,
The issue well, I mean, it's not really a true setback issue. The issue is our code says accessory structures cannot go in front of the structure
Right.
by any amount. So you can be even with the home, but you can't extend beyond the home frontage.
Okay.
but that's because I'm in a corner lot. If I was in a regular lot, I could put something on the side?
Well, that's a different scenario. I'd have to look at that.
Yeah, well, he's the code guy, but it's of the same scenario, yes.
So the other two homes that have the carports totally on the side of their house, they're okay, because they're
As
not.
long as they're not sticking.
One's a corner lot, by the way, and it's on the side of their house. It's not in the backyard.
Yeah, but is it coming past the front? I mean,
No,
That's-
mine's not coming past the front either. Mine's coming past the side. I'm not in the front of my house.
well, your side is your front because you're on a quarter lot. You got, that's the deal with having a corner lot, is you have restrictions in two ways. Where on a normal lot, if you're facing the lot, you only have the front to worry about.
Yeah,
And that's all I'm trying to clarify.
because it's a big lot. It's like 0.86 of an acre. So, anything that I'm put in there, I always take into consideration, how is this gonna look to the people behind me? And I've got all trees and bushes up there. How's it gonna look to the neighbor here? How's it gonna look for people passing by? So I do take that into consideration.
Right.
And if somebody would've told me in those first couple phone calls trying to figure it out, oh, you're a corner lot, you can't put anything on the side, on the one side, just because it's a corner lot, right? And make sure that you're even or behind the side of your house. That would have solved it all. And so I don't feel like I should have to pay $500 for a variance, double the permit, it's gonna be another $500, so now I'm at $1,000. It was $1,800 for a carport. So if I can just pay the permit, what it was normally going to be, and you can put a fine on that if you want to, I think that would be fair.
What we're going to be able to deal with tonight is whether we assess a fine on your case, or whether or not we can't resolve your permit, lack of permit, variance of permit, any of that. That's not for us to do.
You're talking
We're
about
just
you're
hearing
talking
you.
about a fine on top of the variance,
We're
on top
just-
of the permit?
We're just hearing your case
Okay.
tonight.
Okay.
And I would comment that we are accepting your photographs into the record.
Okay.
Excuse me. Are there any other questions? Okay. I guess that's, is there anyone else that would like to speak? Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members of the board. The only thing I would offer is that the issue we're here tonight about is a lack of a permit. And I think if we stay on that track, if the board is willing to consider giving the property owner some additional time to resolve the permit issue, and I think there, like the chairman said, there's another venue to try to figure out whether he can keep the structure where it is. We're only interested in him applying and obtaining a permit.
Correct.
And that's the only issue before you tonight. Thank you.
Normally, he should have gotten a permit prior to the construction, is that correct?
Well, in best case scenario, if you apply for the permit up front, you will be told exactly what you need to do in order to
Right.
be in compliance when you build the product.
Possibly this would have been avoided if there had been.
Absolutely.
And do you plan on going to the variance board
That's-
to appeal? Is that?
That's, it
That's
has
none
nothing
of
to
our-
do
none of our
with us.
business? Okay.
That's irrelevant to us, it's just a permit.
Yeah, and again, I would've got the permit had somebody told me, first you need to get a permit, first you need to do this is what you can and cannot do, because I wanted to order the carport, but I wanted to find out before I ordered it what I should and should not order. I mean, so I could have gone through that whole process, but when I went from code to building, from building to code, code to building, I thought, and then I asked some of my neighbors, you know, what do you know about these carports that you can put in? And they're like, well, if you're putting it in your backyard, you should be fine.
But no one advised you to get a permit prior to the construction, or was this passed after?
Well, I didn't know. I mean, that's why I was calling to find out if I needed to get. I didn't know if you needed a permit for a carport. I don't know enough about that.
You're relatively new to Temple Terrace, is that?
No, I've been here 51 years,
Oh, okay.
52 years, actually. But I've never put a carport in. Or never did any major construction.
Okay. Now,
So- What's that?
but now you know.
Yeah. So what do we do next? Who do I need to call?
Well,
Because I've been down here a few times.
you're gonna have to come back to
Uh-huh.
them,
Okay, so I come back and I go see
Mr. Anisi, I would say.
Amir and try to get the permit. Okay.
Okay,
Anything else?
any other questions? All right,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks.
A call for a motion? Okay, thank you.
Based on the testimony of Sal Scrozo and other matters presented for this case, presented to the board at this hearing, and documented and received by the board, I make a motion that the board find Robert M. Sawyer in case number 17-0813 to be guilty of violating section 8-28A, sub A and sub 1 of the city code, and give the respondents until, what's the next? Here it is. Till July 12th, to come in compliance with the code sections in questions. If the property is not brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $20 per day shall begin to accrue on the day following July 12th, and continue to accrue until the date that the violator provides the city with evidence that the property has been properly put in compliance.
Is there a second?
I second. I second.
Board discussion? Okay, we'll have a vote on the motion, and all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, nay? No nays. Next case.
Case number 170860, City versus NCRC Housing Rehab Fund LLC for property located at 5205 East 131st Avenue. The case is before the board based on alleged violations of Section 828A1 permits application required and 810213H windows and exterior doors maintained in good repair. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Code Compliance Director Joe Damian. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Joe Damian, Code Compliance for the City of Temple Terrace. This case was initiated by Officer Omar Cortez when on routine patrol on April 20th, 2017. The notes in the file reflect that he observed broken windows on the exterior located on the front and both sides of the structure. Upon further inspection, he observed a door in disrepair located on the east side of the structure. Since the building was vacant, he immediately issued a notice of violation. The original notice of violation cited Section 828A1 and 81023H. We are going to withdraw the permit application portion of this because since no work was begun on the windows, therefore a permit would not be required. But we will proceed with the deteriorated or missing windows and doors that are on the property, the second part of the violation. The notice of violation was posted in City Hall on the property and sent certified mail and by regular U.S. mail as required. The respondent was given until May 15th, 2017 to address the violations. An inspection on May 15th, 2017 revealed there was no change in the conditions. As of today's inspection, there was still no change to the condition of the windows or the doors. So at this time, I would like to introduce evidence, photographic evidence. Exhibit number 1 is the exterior wall east side that shows a boarded window and a boarded hole on one of the walls. Exhibit 2 will show the exterior wall on the west side of the property, rusting door. There's also an opening in that wall. And Exhibit 3 is just a condition that is germane also to the rest of the violation. It's an opening in the side wall on the same side where that rusted door is. If I may
Board
introduce.
will accept.
Thank you.
Joe, you said the second violation, correct?
Correct, that's the one on the windows and doors.
I wasn't paying attention when you said this building is not occupied.
No, sir, it's vacant. It's been vacant for quite some time. We've had other cases before you regarding some of the openings on the side walls that are still remaining. And what we're looking for is just a finding and an imposition of a fine.
Okay, are there any questions?
Is this a repeat violation then, Joe?
No, it's a different violation on the same building.
Okay.
Jamie?
Any response from them at all?
I have not received any telephone contact. There was a permit obtained for roof replacement and repair. That was opened and inspected and closed, but there was never any action on the balance of the violations.
I'm assuming the property's not secure, right?
The interior is, I believe, is secure. There's boards on the broken windows, and the doors seem to be locked. What is not secure is the underneath side of the building. So there's animals and stuff that are going in and out of there.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Are there any other persons wishing to speak? Were you sworn in?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Savala with, for 5205 East 131st with NCRC. So don't dispute the issues with the windows or the holes in the side of the house. Just a little background. NCRC is a nonprofit with their mission of buying distressed properties to renovate to sell to low to moderate income first-time home buyers. They purchased this house, I believe, the beginning of this year, with the thought of needing to, on average, about a $45,000 renovation. And after getting access to the house, it's now well over it's about a $98,000 renovation. The previous owners had tunneled underneath the slab to install a legal bathroom in the garage, which is gonna require the slab to be cut and, filled in, backfilled and re-poured. So, all of the issues with that house, the client plans to fully renovate the house. They have hired in February, we had hired a contractor to start the project. They did pull a permit. They did not pull the proper permit, and they were supposed to begin the work with the plans that we had got from our engineer. They didn't start that. They didn't start any work. They didn't really do anything, so we were forced to fire them, and we've been moving forward with trying to find another contractor that's willing to take on such a large scope of work for the budget that the nonprofit has to complete the work. The only thing I'm asking from you guys today, if you're willing to, is to extend the amount of time on getting the permit for the windows and the doors. We have estimates for just that alone on its side to cure the issue, and have every intention of doing it. There just really has been a difficult time with trying to get people to actually show up to do what you're asking them to do. And that's been a struggle on this property, just because of the condition. And to answer the question, I'm not sure, I couldn't see who said it. The house is secured, so no one can get in it. But it is, the previous owner had knocked holes in the side, on the right side of the house in the foundation through the block. And there's just a abundance of major issues with this property that definitely bit off more than we wanted to with it.
What is your expected time frame getting the permit for the doors and windows?
I think they could as far as hiring the general contractor to do the windows and the doors and pulling the permit, I know everybody's told us they're between 2 to 3 weeks on actually, once we give the deposit of ordering the windows, they could have them in 2 to 3 weeks. And depending on the weather, and as we've seen this week, it's been a little touch and go. They're anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks on installing them, depending on the time when they come in. But I feel that within the next 2 weeks, we could have the permit pulled and the windows on ordered and have everything in place to start moving forward. And we know that the issue with the side of the house isn't on this, but we know that needs to be corrected as well. That's just a much larger scope of work than windows and doors.
Okay, on the, this hasn't to do with this, because we're talking windows and doors,
Yes,
but
sir.
we're also talking permit. And is there, in your mind, any reason to be considering a larger permit scope?
That was kind of our goal all along, was to have everything permitted. With the amount of work that's needed, it's just we've had a very hard time finding someone that will take on that scope of project. And we've found window companies that can come in and do the windows and doors, and a mason and concrete company that can come in and pull the permit to do the issues with the foundation and the slab, in hopes that we could get that corrected now, and as finances are better with this size of project, be able to we've already done the roof because it needed to be done because the inside was, leaks throughout. And be able to renovate the house completely, to be able to sell it and, bring it up and kind of improve the house and improve the neighborhood.
Okay. We're dealing with just the doors and windows tonight and the
Yes.
permit and that. So, and that's something that you can manage. And so the rest of what I've talked with you about is just consideration, but
Okay.
tonight it's just the doors and windows.
Okay.
So I just want to make that clear. Do you have any questions?
Why haven't you all communicated with code?
To be honest, I don't have a good explanation with that. I know that they have had conversations about the block with someone in the past. This was just brought to my attention last week. I'm out of our corporate office in Atlanta, and I'm down here on a work/vacation week. And I was notified that needed to be here this evening. And, I think I got it in an email. It was scanned and emailed to me last Thursday. So I don't, a large company, I don't know if they just have someone that didn't, because we usually are on top of them. They have someone that's all they do for the homes they purchase is
And
work on code violations. I couldn't give you.
the other thing is, you said the house is secured, but in the pictures that code enforcement gave us and that, there's gaping holes.
Underneath the house, yes, sir.
So that wouldn't really be secured. If you said they tunneled under it and everything else.
I could throw some plywood up, get somebody to put some plywood with some Tapcons into the block to block those holes. I think our goal was to get it fixed permanently.
Have you been to the house?
Yes, I have.
And can you get inside from crawling under? Or is it under the slab?
I haven't gone crawling underneath it, sir, but there's no holes there's no holes from underneath that go up inside the house. It's just going into the crawl space that goes underneath the garage is where they tunneled to put in the bathroom and the plumbing.
Any other questions over here? All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this case? Okay, ask for a motion. Mr. Allen?
I'll go for it. Based on the testimony of Code Compliance Director Joe Damian and Mr. Seville from the NCRC, presented to this board this hearing the documentary evidence received by the board, and make a motion that the board find NCRC Housing Rehab Fund LLC in case number 17-0869 to be guilty of violating sections 8-102 subsection 13 subsection H of the city code, and give the respondents until July 12th to come into compliance with the code sections in questions. If the property is not brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $100 a day shall begin to accrue on the day following July 12th and continue to accrue until the date that the violator provides the city with evidence that the property has been brought into compliance.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any board discussion? Okay, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any nays? No nays.
Next case.
Next case.
Case number 17077, City versus Youssef Ad-Jabari for property located at 104 Mission Hills Avenue. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 810213C, roofs maintained in good repair. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Tom Baroni. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening.
Tom Baroni, Code Compliance. This case this evening originated back in November of 2016 in case number 16-2041 of last year when I presented a work without a permit case for a damaged roof at the MCEB hearing, and I failed to attach the minimum housing roofing violation to the case. Since the roof remained damaged since September of 2016, and with no improvements, a notice of violation was prepared on April 6, 2017, with the compliance date of April 24, 2017. Since the home is unoccupied, I posted the notice at the front door and requested copies be sent certified in first-class mail. I also requested a copy be posted at City Hall for the 10-day requirement. During the months of April and May of 2017, new plans were drawn up and permits were issued to remodel the entire structure. Both the owner and the contractor did sit down with Director Joe Damian with updates on the status of the property. During the 2 months, Code Compliance Director was receiving some complaints from the neighbors and about the lack of work by the contractor. A 30-yard dumpster was placed in the front yard on April 19, 2017. On my inspection at the end of April, I noted 2 workers removing shingles and visited the property a few days later to find roofing shingles, tar paper, the rear door unsecured, shovels and wheelbarrow throughout the yard. I called over to Moonlight Construction Company on May 11th and was advised by the contractor that he hasn't heard from the owner in a few weeks, and he asked if I could wait until Monday, May 15th, before I was considering moving forward to the MCEB hearing. Since progress of the property was moving basically at a standstill, the city's decision was to move forward to the hearing. At this time, I would like to submit photographic evidence that was taken by me on May 30th, 2017. Exhibit number 1 shows roofing debris inside the structure and the rear door unsecured. Exhibit number 2 shows a front view of the dwelling. Exhibit number 3 shows plywood removed from the roof taken on June 9th. Exhibit number 4 shows the roof rafters removed from the structure. At this time, I'd like to submit.
Board will accept.
Okay. As of today's date, there has been a large improvement, but the roof still remains out of compliance. The city would like to recommend that the board give the owner or the contractor 30 additional days to bring the property into compliance, and if the owner needs some more time, they can come back in the July hearing for additional time. This is not a repeat violation case. I know I gave you a lot of information in my testimony, but we felt as though that the property wasn't moving forward, and the contractor and the owner really weren't in good faith as far as the city moving forward with this property. So this has been going on since September of 2016. Just keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Any questions?
And you're asking for us to offer an extension?
Well, what we're asking for is 30 days to the next hearing.
Okay.
You said,
Making
oh, go ahead.
progress with
They are making progress since they received the notice of hearing. Since they received the notice of hearing, there's been a large improvement at the property.
since these pictures, so they've been a big improvement over what's in these pictures. So
Well, the last one was there was June, what's it,
deep, though, not a lot.
right.
And you said they do have a permit?
Yes, they do.
Do you know what that permit's for?
Well, they're gonna remodel the whole structure. So they have a permit for the renovations of the roof area. Amir was supposed to be here tonight, but
Yeah.
of course, he's not
I
here.
was just curious because removing all those trusses and
Truss.
joists and all that is a,
Different.
Different
permit.
beast.
Yes, I know that.
so,
But I'm not here for that.
yeah, no, I was
Okay,
just
so-
curious if you knew
okay.
what it was.
Thank you.
Okay. There are a few people.
One other question.
Sure.
Is it secured now or no? I mean, I noticed it's pretty wide open, so.
Tell you the truth, there's so much work being done there. There is a pool in the rear yard. There is also a fence on the west side of the property that they use with wheelbarrows going in and out. So whether it's secure right now, I'd be speculating whether it is.
Okay.
Okay. There are, I believe the owner's here. Yes, sir. Okay, and the contractor just on the corner. Okay, would you like to come up?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Please state your name and.
My name is Faraz Jubei, and I live at 7001 North Whittier Street, Tampa, Florida, 33617. And I'm here to interpret for my uncle, which is the owner of 104 Mission House. And we did get all the correct permits and everything. My uncle had some family issues, and that's why we delayed it a little bit on roofing stuff. But I think we're in compliance of everything. 30 days is more than fair for us to be done bringing the roof down. And the house, like he mentioned, has all the correct permits and stuff, and we are working and moving on forward to fixing and becoming of compliance of the whole entire house. We are working on that, sir.
Okay. Just a comment to begin with is that your permit is date sensitive, so you want to be paying attention to that because you've probably lost 2 months already. I drive by your property frequently, not as much this summer, but during school time,
Okay.
I'm there by, and I keep a look. And the progress that you've made, really, and what Joe has commented on, has really been since about the 28th of May. So you've done a lot in the last week or two.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, I was surprised to even see all the rafters down. I could see that was going to happen, but I was impressed to see that it was gone. So I do see the progress.
Thank you. We are, like I said, we are working on getting it perfect.
Okay. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Who pulled the permit?
Our contractor is the one that's getting the permits.
That's the one that they said that you haven't spoken to, I don't know if I heard that
Correct.
correctly.
Correct.
In a couple weeks?
Correct.
So who's doing the work?
He is. He's doing all the work and also getting the permit.
But I'm confused. If you haven't spoken to the contractor in a couple weeks,
That's before, that's before June 1st that we haven't spoken to him. We had a couple of issues, and he explained that he had a difficult time of getting in contact with us. That's true. But when we got into contact with him, that was after June 1st. That's when we moved forward and began working on the house.
okay, so he's the one actually doing the work on the home?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Joe?
If I may ask a question?
Sure.
Absolutely,
You okay?
absolutely.
Yes. You mentioned that you say within 30 days you all will be able to take care of, does that mean that the roof is going to be replaced in 30 days? Or,
Brought down,
and then when the roof comes down, what happens to the,
we're gonna begin on the construction now. The construction, roofing and stuff, ordering material, finding stuff that's gonna all take time. But within 30 days, the roofing will be down completely.
okay, what I would like, if at all possible, is when we mail, the only mailing address that we have is the property.
Okay?
All the mail comes back.
Okay.
So I need to get a mailing address and a phone number so I know how to be able to communicate with the
You got it.
property owner.
He's currently living with me till the house is repaired. He's currently living
So
with
I
me.
can get your number and.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
Then we'll do that before
Sure.
we'll finish. Thank you.
No
I
problem.
have another comment. Looking at that last photograph with the rafters down, there aren't any rafters left up there to take down, appears. And so mainly it's just cleanup. So it shouldn't take you 30 days to get the cleanup done. You should be getting back under roof.
Right. like I said, 30 days is beyond fair. If you're gonna give me less time, I'm capable of doing it in less, but he mentioned 30 days, which is more than fair, but you are absolutely right. I can do it in much less time, yes. And we really want to, because he, like I said,
He needs to get home.
he has 5 kids and they're all staying at my house, and he really wants this done as soon as possible. But we did have a lot of problems with contractors and
Right.
stuff. Some asked for too much, sometimes they, you know, it was difficult to shop around for contractors. It really was.
Right.
And we faced a lot of issues, but now we're working on it. We
We're on the
really
way
want to
out.
get this done. Yes, sir.
Good. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I have a question. There's a pool, I heard there was a pool back there?
There is.
Is the pool full of water? Is it secured? I mean,
It's,
is it-
it's, oh,
He's got a canvas top on it,
Okay.
so it's got springs, so it's attached and, so that's secure.
Okay.
But I just also want you to understand, I think he has a misunderstanding of the compliance of the roof means he has to restructure the roof and have it completed within 30 days.
That's correct.
Not ripped out within 30 days.
That's why I brought that back up.
Right, and I think he
Excuse
has a
me.
misunderstanding for that.
That's not
Right.
a question about the actual violation. Oh, sorry. In order to comply, he would have to have a new roof on the house? Is
That's
that-
correct.
Okay.
That's correct. That's compliance for the violation. So, you understand that, sir?
yes. Now that I understand he wants a brand new roof installed and stuff, 30 days, I need, if, by your permission, more time, I think, I mean, if within 30 days, I wanna get it done within 30 days, or even less, hopefully, if I would be more than happy to stay in contact with the officer and tell him the progress that I'm going through, and, but 30 days might do it, but if I need more time, am I gonna get an extension of a little bit more time?
Right, yeah, that's up to you. What we're looking for is to have the roof, get this underway, get it done, and see how much we can get done in 30 days.
Wonderful.
And if you need to come back and see us in July, do so.
Okay.
Don't just run away from us and leave us. you
Absolutely
know.
won't, yes, sir.
But let's go for 30 days and see where we get.
That's fair, yes, sir, absolutely.
Thank
We
you.
can go for 30 days and let's see how far we can get with the roofing, yes, sir.
Thank you.
I got one more. Hey, when did you all purchase the property?
About a year and a half ago.
So you just started working, you've owned it for a year and a half and you guys just started?
Correct. It took us more than 6 months to work on the blueprints. It did,
Right, they had come to us last year sometime,
right.
and they hadn't gotten permits. Somebody was in there tearing things down, and they, at that meeting, I talked to them about having to get an architect to do the structural because it was a major renovation.
Correct,
And it's taken a while, but we got the roof down,
yes,
so keep on going on and get her
Absolutely.
done so that we can be proud of the home again. It's
absolutely.
going to be a big improvement.
No, you sure will. It's gonna be a
So-
beautiful home. And to respond to the mister, it should have been done really a long time ago, and I really agree with you. But he sold all his properties overseas in order to purchase this house. After purchasing this house, he wanted to take a break because there was a lot of expenses on him in order of fixing it. So now he's getting all his financial situations together in order to go on and fix the house. And I promise it's gonna be a beautiful house when it's done, and it's gonna all be done with permits, and hopefully everything's gonna be perfect.
Good, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay.
Actually, I have a question for us. When we're talking
Well,
about,
we'll talk about it after we go for a permit. I mean, a motion. Can I get a motion on this so we can continue on? I'm looking, I got two over here. Any over here?
is this we're not doing a repeat on this one?
It's not a repeat.
Yeah, that's what,
All right, I'll go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Based on the testimony of Jabari Youssef, AD, and Code Compliance Officer Tom Baroni, presented to the board at this hearing, and the documentary evidence received by the board, make a motion that the board find Jabari Youssef in case number 17-0777 to be guilty of violating sections 8-102 subsection 13 subsection 3 of the city code, and give the respondents until, what was it, July 12th, to come into compliance with the code sections in question. If the property is not brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $100 per day shall begin to accrue on the following day, the following compliance date, and continue to accrue until that date that the violator provides the city with evidence that the property has been brought into compliance.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nay, opposed? Passes.
That was Newkirk on the second?
Pardon?
Who seconded that? Okay.
Next case.
I want to thank you, gentlemen, for your time, and have
Thank
a
you.
great night.
I'm sorry, I didn't notice you were still up.
Case number 170846, City versus Wells Fargo Bank National Association trustee CO Shapiro Fishman and Gash LLP for property located at 10310 Council's Way. The case is before the board based on an alleged violation of Section 810213C, roofs maintained in good repair. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Tom Baroni. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Good evening, Tom Baroni, Code Compliance. This case this evening originated proactively on April 18, 2017. My inspection noted a damaged soffit on the front exterior wall of the Terrace Oaks subdivision. At that time, I issued a door hanger with a compliance date of April 28, 2017. On my reinspection on May 3, 2017, noted no change. Therefore, a notice of violation was prepared that same day with a compliance date of May 24, 2017. I posted a copy of the notice at the front door of the violation and requested copies be sent certified in first-class mail. I also requested a copy be posted at City Hall for the 10-day requirement. My inspection on May 30th, 2017 noted no change. At this time, I'd like to submit photographic evidence that was taken by me on May 30th, 2017. Exhibit number 1 shows a damaged soffit.
Board will accept.
Thank you.
Yes.
You're a representative from Wells Fargo? So you're a representative from Wells
Yes.
Fargo? Okay. As of today's date, there has been no change, therefore the property remains out of compliance. So I have a neighbor here that would like to state, she lives next door to the townhome, and I also have a representative from Wells Fargo. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions?
Sure.
This isn't a repeat. This isn't
No.
like last month, we had one with a soffit somewhere in that area in a townhouse.
It's not ringing a bell, but it's not a repeat.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. So do
Thank
you want to
you.
hear the neighbor, or you want to?
Yes, well, both, but I will take the neighbor first.
Okay, yeah.
Good evening. Name and address, please.
My name is Selena Albanese, and the property that I own is 10308 Council's Way. I also own 10306 Council's Way, the two continuous
Okay.
neighbors they are both rented. And I have the problems I've been trying to solve with my tenants because they have infestations of rodents. that seems to come from 10310. And I even took some pictures of damage that some kind of animal has been doing to our fascia and the ventilation under the gutter. And I don't know how to solve my problem with my tenants. I've been putting traps and things like that. But unless they fix 10310, there is nothing we can do with,
Right.
with our properties, and we have kids there. So I would like to see what is the resolution for this. That's I came here. And I also took a picture of the backside because the officer didn't have it. And since I have access to the backside of my property, I took these copies. May I?
We will accept, yes.
The first one shows the ventilation on their side of the house and how it's falling.
Ma'am,
And then
ma'am,
this is where
Hold
my
on one
house
second.
starts.
ma'am,
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
you can just,
so,
I don't know the protocol. Sorry, I don't know the protocol.
sorry.
Okay, the first one shows how the ventilation side and, under the fascia is hanging kind of. And then you can see that some kind of animal or something like that came through in top of ours and actually damaged it. Last year, we fixed all the front of the house and the fascias and everything. And now we have problems because they have been corroded and I don't know, I can't do nothing because anything I do is going to be damaged again. So I would like to see what the resolution is going to be on this issue because I would like to have my tenants happy.
Right.
And also, I wouldn't like to have one of the kids beaten or something like that by an animal, a rodent.
Right.
So that for me is very, very troublesome.
It is, it is. And-
So I
and-
am property, we are owners of those two properties, but therefore we are liable. So it's very, very troublesome. I would appreciate any resolution that you can
So-
do to help me.
So far, it's just four-footed animals, or is it birds and that kind of stuff?
I've been asking my tenants, because they have been complying in the last 2 or 3 months. And there is one tenant that is new, and she immediately called me, immediately. And the other tenant has been complying for 2 or 3 months, and I've been trying, like, going there. I don't live here, but University of Realty had gone there, and now that we have been here for 2 months, month and a half, we have been trying to see, how to trap this animal. But we can do nothing unless our next door neighbor fixes their own property.
Right.
Because once we do the fixing of the fascia and everything, it's going to get damaged again.
Right.
So it's a big problem for us, and it's not the problem of the damage. The problem is the animals.
Right.
So for me, that's the problem. The rest is minor things.
Yeah, I appreciate your concern for your tenants. And
Well, if
and-
I were
and
a
if we
tenant,
can get it taken care of, that's what has to be,
if
needs
I
to
were
be
a
done.
tenant, I would like to be taken care of. So
Right.
thank you for listening to me.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
What am I planning to do? Good evening to the board. My name is Andrew Cantor. I'm here as coverage on behalf of Shapiro Fishman, who's counsel for Wells Fargo. The address is 4630 Woodland Corporate Boulevard, Unit 100, Tampa, Florida, 33614. As I'm sure you're aware, this is a foreclosure property. The bank took it over based on a foreclosure complaint that was filed at the end of 2015, at which point a motion for summary judgment was eventually filed in May of 2016. It was set in the end of August. Foreclosure sale was scheduled in October of 2016, at which point the tenant, who I guess didn't come, I thought they might come tonight, Nadal Alazam, if I'm saying it correctly, Nedal-Alazzam, filed an objection to sale, presumably to have more time staying in the property. We, obviously, the clerk took notice. We weren't able to get CT issued right away until we could have that overcome by the judge's ruling. We received certificate of title in December of 2016, at which point the same tenant, Mr. or Mrs. Alazam, I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman, filed a notice of appeal, and we had to file a motion to dismiss the appeal for lack of jurisdiction. Excuse me, I actually have an order received from the court, it looks like it's from yesterday here, saying that the appellee's motion to dismiss is granted. So we've now worked through the pending appeal, and what we need is time in order to get a writ of possession to finish the eviction process, because while everything's on appeal, we can't do anything. We technically have certificate of title, but we're not able to remove the tenants and then go in and take care of the property per your request. So, you know, we were between a rock and a hard place. So what we would like to do is obviously get the property up to par, and essentially get a 90-day extension to evict the tenants and then make repairs to the property. Because at this point, we literally we're not allowed legally to interrupt the tenant's residency on the property due to the pending appeal. And obviously we want to help out Ms. Albanese, and I'm not here to cross-examine her. I think it would be excessive. I can't necessarily refute what she said about, you know, rodents or anything like that, but the bank is certainly willing to do its part. We just need more time to do it because, again, the legal procedure has held us up to this point.
Okay, so we have another eviction process that you're going through?
Yes, correct. We could not go forward with it because there was a pending appeal. That stays the action in the circuit court and means we can't get the writ of possession to get the tenants off the property. That has literally just been handled, so now we just like 90 days so we can do all the paperwork, get them out, and make sure to do the repairs per your request.
Okay. What we would like to see, if we vote that way, is that we can give you an extension, but I would like to see you in 30 days to see what your progress is.
Okay.
And not wait till 90 days and say, well, we haven't been able to evict because of they just won't move their clothes out or something. And we've had those cases, so we don't want to get down that road too far. So that is kind of where I would weigh in on. And if you come before us and we can do an extension or whatever then, but I don't want to go 90 days flat out.
If it pleases the board, could we meet in the middle and do 60? And I'm hoping by then maybe it'll just be a matter of saying, hey, we've got everything taken care of, and you know, that way maybe we won't have to come back again and explain it.
We'll
to
see.
the board. If that works.
Any other questions?
I got a question. First one is, I'm a little confused. How is a renter obstructing the foreclosure process?
So generally what, excuse me, whenever a tenant, even though they're not an owner of the property, if they file any sort of paperwork objecting to the sale, the clerk is going to take notice and they automatically won't issue, they won't allow us basically to proceed with the foreclosure process. That's just something they do really if anything, almost anything is filed. It doesn't matter if it's a tenant or the borrower. They're going to say, hey, this is on the docket. You need to show up and resolve it with the judge. And we're kind of stuck, you know, in the meantime. What was essentially what is kind of I don't want to call it a stay, but it just kind of throws a monkey wrench in the works from a procedural perspective.
And the other question is, the repairs that are needed to be done are on the exterior.
Correct.
You wouldn't have to enter the residence, so I don't understand how that would violate the renter.
Well, obviously, my client is very wary of any sort of issues with property preservation. They don't want to trespass on the property or be accused of doing anything they're not supposed to be doing. This tenant has obviously been very troublesome, and they're not looking to have some sort of confrontation or something along those lines. They're worried about liability issues and things of that nature. So for them, it was a matter of, hey, let's deal with the legal side of it, and then we'll be in the clear and we won't have to worry about anything else as far as moving forward.
And I understand that, but they're also technically the lien holder of the property. So they have every right to do what they need to do.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I understand.
Thanks.
Mhm.
I just have a few questions, and this is just information gathering. What's the anticipated timeline with the eviction? I mean, do we have an active lease, or is, are they a tenancy at sufferance, and is it just a matter of giving them notice of termination and then out within 30 days, or are you expecting a full-blown eviction?
Yeah, I mean, based on what I'm seeing up to this point, I think they're not gonna go down without a fight, because, it's, as you said, Mr. Stats, that it's very uncommon for a tenant to file an objection to sale, particularly when they followed up with an appeal. So the reason we're asking for 90 days is we're just, like I said, we're just finally getting through the appellate process, so we're just worried they're gonna try and gum up the works more if in any way they can. Obviously, there's, the 3-day notice, and there's further procedure that's required to do the eviction process, so.
Right. Is there a lease?
I'm not sure on this particular one. I wasn't provided that documentation, so I honestly don't know for sure if there's a lease or not.
Is the bank receiving rent?
To my knowledge, they're not receiving any rent at this time.
Okay, is there an attornment agreement where they're acting as the landlord?
I'm not aware of one at this time.
Okay, and do you know if there was an assignment of rents clause within the mortgage?
Typically, there's always one with the Wells Fargo mortgages. I don't know for sure on this particular one, but I don't believe they've ever received any sort of motion to compel assignment of rents on this one. So
Okay.
yeah, they're not benefiting from them staying put, to my knowledge.
Okay, that's all I have.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to have a motion. Anyone?
Based on the testimony of Tom Baroni, Mrs. Anisi, and Andrew Cantor, presented to the board at this hearing, and the documentary evidence received by the board, I make a motion that the board find Wells Fargo Bank National Association trustee, care of Shapiro Fishman and Gosh LLP, in case number 17-0846, to be guilty of violating sections 8-102, subsection 13, subsection C of the city code, and give the respondents until July 12th to come into compliance with the code sections in questions. If the property has not been brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $50 per day shall begin to accrue on the day following July 12th and continue to accrue until the date that the violator provides the city with evidence that the property has been brought into compliance.
Second.
What was the amount of the fine? I'm sorry, I was writing.
$50.
$50.
Call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No nays. We're going back to the first case?
Yes. Case number 150773, City versus Ivan Baby and Sally Joseph for property located at 7523 Terrace River Drive. The case is before the board based on an alleged violation of Section 810213B, exterior walls maintained in good repair. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Sal Scrozo. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Sal Scrozo, code compliance. This case was initiated during a neighborhood sweep conducted on March 28th, 2017. At that time, we observed stained exterior walls on the east side of the property. On April 5th, I issued a door hanger with a reinspection date of May 1st, 2017. My inspection on May 3rd revealed no change, and therefore I issued a notice of violation the same day and gave the respondent until May 15th to bring the property into compliance with city code. I posted the notice at the home and mailed copies, both certified and regular mail, to the property owner's address, and I also requested the notice be posted at City Hall for the required length of time. My inspection on May 18th also revealed no change. At this time, I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the violation taken by me on May 18th, 2017.
The board will accept.
Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Today's inspection revealed no change, and therefore the property remains out of compliance.
Any questions?
Sal, is the site occupied?
Yes.
Is it
Unfortunately,
owner
I've tried many times to contact the owner, and unfortunately never had any success. The vehicle's in the driveway, I knock on the door, ring the doorbell, no one comes to the door.
Do you know if the property is homesteaded?
Yes, it is. To my knowledge, it is. I haven't talked to the people, but according to the property appraiser, it is.
Is this sort of, any of the other homes in the neighborhood that are in similar condition, or is it?
Not that
A very
severe.
standout.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions, any for? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion? Anyone?
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Based on the based on the testimony of Code Compliance Officer Sal Scarozo, presented to the board at this hearing, and the document evidence received by the board, I make the motion that the board find Baby Ivan and Joseph Sally in case number 17-0773 to be guilty of violating sections 8-102-13B of the city code, and to give the respondents until July 12th, 2017, to come into compliance with the code sections in question. If the property is not brought into compliance by that date, a fine of $50 per day shall begin to occur on the following date of compliance, on July 13th, 2017, and to continue to occur until the date of that violator provides the city with evidence that the property has been brought into compliance.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Call for a motion, call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No, any nays? No nays. Next case.
Case number 170892, City versus Falcon Investment Group, Ken Leong, registered agent for property located at 5310 Grove Hill Road. The case is before the board based on alleged violation of Section 12921, parking residential property. The case will be prosecuted this evening by Officer Sal Scarozo. The city has evidence that the notice of violation and notice of hearing were properly served.
Sal Scarozo, Code Compliance. This case was initiated proactively on April 20th, 2017, when I observed a large canopy structure erected in the driveway. Further inspection also revealed several vehicles stored in the front yard. Due to violation history at this address, I issued a notice of violation the next day and gave the respondents until May 2nd to bring the property into compliance with city code. I posted a notice at the home and mailed copies, both certified and regular mail, to the property owner's address, and I also requested the notice be posted at City Hall for the required length of time. My inspection on May 24th revealed that the accessory structure had been removed, however, parking violations continued to occur. At this time, I'd like to submit photographic evidence of the violation taken by me on May 24th, 2017. Exhibit 1 depicts a vehicle stored in the front yard on the east side of the property. Exhibit 2 depicts a vehicle stored in the front yard on mulch. And Exhibit 3 depicts a vehicle stored in the front yard on the west side of the property.
Board will accept.
Today's inspection revealed that all the vehicles had been removed and therefore is now in compliance with city code. And at this time, I'd like to submit the affidavit of compliance dated June 14th, 2017.
The board will accept.
And at this point, we are just seeking a finding.
Any questions? I'll ask for a motion.
Sure. Based on the testimony of Code Compliance Officer Sal Scarozzo, presented to the board at this hearing, the documentary evidence received by the board, I make a motion that the board find Valken Investment Corporation in case number 17-0892 to be guilty of violating sections 12-921 of the city code, but because the property was brought into compliance before the date of this hearing, no fine shall be assessed.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? No.
Nay. Over.
You ready?
Case unfinished business, case number 170248, the City versus Deutsche Bank Trust Company, America Trustee, CO PNC Bank NA for property located at 6214 Tanager Place. An affidavit of compliance was submitted by Director Damian for section 12901 dated May 10th, 2017. Case number 170280, City versus Temple Terrace Associates, LLC, CO Buckingham Properties, RMC Property Group, registered agent for property located at 9281 North 56th Street. An affidavit of compliance was submitted by Officer Baroni dated May 11th, 2017. Case number 170403, City versus JH and Betty Morris for property located at 12902 North 53rd Street. The expiration of compliance is tonight at midnight. Case number 170469, City versus Nathan A. Meyer for property located at 107 South Greenfield Avenue. An affidavit of non-compliance was submitted by Officer Scarozzo for section 12861B7 dated May 11th, 2017. Case number 170570, City versus Milford V. Collins for property located at 10046 North 52nd Street. The expiration of compliance is tonight at midnight. And lastly, case number 170723, City versus Benjamin and Amanda Payne, Don P. and Peggy W. Graham for property located at 8208 Volusia Place. The expiration of compliance is tonight at midnight. And then I have one case not on the agenda. An affidavit of compliance was submitted for case number 160870, City versus John D. Lee and Margot K. Lee for property located at 722 Downs Avenue for section 12901, dated June 8th, 2017.
Ms. Garcia, I just have a couple of
Yes.
things, if I may. On the third case on the, this section of the agenda, case number 17-0403, the City versus JH and Betty Morris. I may be mistaken about this, but I think that you said the deadline was tonight.
Yes, that was an error. The agendas I printed today fixed that error, but yes, it was.
Okay.
It is June 14th is their deadline, and it was a $100 fine beginning June 15th, which is tomorrow or midnight.
Well, wait, are you talking about Betty Morris or Nathan Meyer?
Betty Morris. I thought you said Betty Morris.
Yeah, I did. So what's the $100?
Nathan Meyer, the fine was just put twice, and it's the $100 per day beginning May 11th. I'm sorry for those.
Yeah, that was the other, so, but just so I'm clear, it's
Yes.
$75 per day for Betty Morris starting tomorrow.
It's $100 per day.
And it's also 100 for Nathan Meyer and not
Also 100 for Nathan Meyer.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that it? Okay.
That's all I have, yeah.
Other board action. the consideration of the amnesty program applications. Case number 1.
Yes. So Director Damian will present these, but I'll go ahead and announce them. Case number 04-1081, City versus Donald Harvey and Victoria Hewitt for a property located at 12202 North 51st Street. The amount of lien is $225, and the applicants are Donald Harvey and Victoria Hewitt.
This case, the application for this amnesty program at the property address was properly submitted in a timely fashion. It was fully completed and fully vetted by the administration. They are in compliance with all of the program criteria. And the fine would be reduced down from $225 to $33.75, I believe is the actual number. So that one, like I said, it meets all the program requirements. We're recommending approval on that. Do you want to take them separately?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm ready to answer any questions you may have
Any
regarding that
questions?
application.
Ask for a motion to accept or deny, whichever.
Yeah, I'll move we accept.
Second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Has been approved.
The application for case 150573 at 12706 North 53rd Street, again, was properly submitted to the administration, fully completed. They met all of the program criteria. That particular lien amount was $45,600. The formula used to calculate that particular reduction came out to $6,840, but it exceeded the program cap, so it is capped at $5,000. The property has been in compliance for a while. I don't know if you remember, this used to be a problem that we had for quite a while. They have since kept the property in fairly decent condition, and so we're also recommending approval on that one.
Okay, any questions? Motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept this application.
Okay. Second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a second. Any board discussion? I have to say that I'm happy to hear this one has come to closure. It's been a while.
Yes, and we stay in contact with the property owner. I mean, she's in a, the owners are actually elderly. The daughter's the one that's been trying to keep everything together. I think she's the only one that's working in the household. It's been tough, but she's been cooperative, and you know, we have open lines of communication with them right now. Whenever there's been a problem, they've responded fairly quickly, so.
It's very, very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Do we still need to vote on that?
Oh, didn't we vote?
No.
Well, let's have a vote on the motion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nay? No nays. All right. I have a couple of papers that came in my packet.
Yes. Okay, so let me address those real quick. In the original packet, I did correct this agenda and send it out again via email and reposted it. But the first day that it was posted, there were 3 cases that were then pulled, which were case number 516-5329, City versus Michael Chansey, case number 17-5042, Valken Investment Group, and case number 17-5052, City versus Robert Kalashian and Andrea Munro. These were all fire risk reduction cases that were all pulled.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering if I was losing it.
No, you were not.
All right. New business.
Well, I don't know if it's new, but I was just kind of curious, and I guess this would be posed to Tom, but since we had a roof issue on Mission Hills, I was just kind of curious how Mr. Warren might be coming along. Might or might not be, I guess.
We'll take that, but that's kind of old business.
Yeah, it is old business, but we didn't have an old business spot, I
Right.
think, so.
Tom Barone, code compliance. I go by Mr. Warren's property every day. The ladder's on the roof. I don't see much progress being done. He is being fined every day. And ever since we made the final motion to fine the property, it seems like everything came to a standstill. So we're not happy with, the outcome so far, but we can only do what we can do. And so I haven't seen him lately. In the last few months, I haven't seen him, so there's really nothing new to report, but I can just tell you there's no progress. So, wish I had better news, but I don't.
Did see him working one day in my travels by, like I said earlier. I
Okay.
go by there regularly also, and he was there in the afternoon, and his truck was there, I think it was,
Saturday or Sunday?
no, it was a Friday afternoon.
Okay,
Yeah. But, I mean, it was just sitting there, it wasn't working,
yeah.
but.
I believe there's a hardship there. I'm not sure, but,
I hope the water's still not going through that other roof.
I don't know.
Rain good last week?
Yeah.
I got some.
Okay.
Do we know how many of the amnesty that we heard last month actually paid, complied? Did all of them, hopefully?
Okay, Joe stepped out of the room, so I'll
Okay.
answer
I
that.
didn't know if it-
All 5 of the amnesty applications were paid, and I've already processed the lien releases, and they have been removed from the liens list.
Okay,
That was a little over $9,000.
excellent. I was just curious if they were actually following through with it.
Well, it's good they have.
Very good.
Okay, tonight we come to this momentous occasion of election of officers. This is our second time this year, but we're in the midway. We're on the downhill slide till October, so we have first a nomination for a chairperson, and go from there.
I nominate you.
I will accept the position, being you didn't kick me out of here already. But we need to have a vote,
A second?
or second first. And a vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Okay, now the tough part comes. We need, well, tough for you guys. I need to ask for a nomination of a vice chair. And we have some candidates here. A lot of good candidates, so come on, guys.
You interested?
Not really.
How about you, Ryan?
I feel like I'm too new.
Pardon?
I'm still learning.
Well, you learn fast up here. This is my only night.
Jamie?
Either one.
It don't matter to me, either way.
I'll nominate Jamie.
All right. Will you accept?
I accept.
All right. Let's take a
Second?
motion and a second on it.
Yes,
A second. Newkirk, second. And all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay? No nays. Congratulations. Okay, the next item, is there any other comments or questions that anybody has? Okay, let's go for an adjournment, a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn. I'll second it.
Bill? Okay, Bill and Bill tonight. Thank you. Let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.